Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that at all, but it was yeah, every time I get an iPhone or I any type of Apple product, it sends it like that. I
It's
don't
funny.
know. So, yeah, I think we're ready to
All right.
start, right?
Make
Maybe yes,
sure
maybe
all my
no.
phone is on. Yep. All right.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to our second week of Conflict of Leadership Coffee Table Edition. Hello to all 9 people who have watched so far. I think you and I account for
Yeah.
most of those,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. But
Hey, you know.
yeah, thank you for those who listened actually organically. It means a lot to us. And for those of you who haven't listened organically, you can't hear me, but start listening.
Oh,
I promise you, the audio is better this week, isn't it?
oh, much better.
So what? Yeah, besides being cold, how are you doing today?
Not bad. It's been a good day. Can't complain a whole lot
Mm,
besides the cold.
oh, just, just so y'all know, in Ohio, all of a sudden, Old Man Winter woke up earlier this week and said, "Hey, I'm gonna ruin your day. Watch this."
Day. It's been a week. On my
So,
way here, they said it was wind chill -6 out.
oof, oof. Well, and every time we wake up, we seem to be waking up to like a little bit more snow and a little bit more snow. The
Yep.
other day, it was like a dusting of snow, then it was about an inch of snow. Now we're to about 3 or 4 inches here. I'm sure up in Cleveland, or
It's about the same up towards Cleveland too.
oh,
'Cause on my way into the station this morning,
mm,
started snowing. Like, where's this coming from?
it's called winter. Winter in
Unfortunately,
Ohio. So
63 more days till spring.
oh boy. Yeah, yeah. Is that Ohio spring or is that real spring?
That's real spring.
Oh, okay.
We
All
probably
right.
got about 80 days for Ohio spring.
Oh man. So well, if y'all are joining us for the first time, I'm Tim.
And
This is
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah. We are hosting Coffee Table Edition of Conflict of Leadership, where we talk about things in the fire service, changes, how it affects us, how we feel about it, and pretty much everything in between. So feel a little better this week than you were last week.
Oh yeah.
It's the second week, so bear with us a little bit. We're broing here, but at the same time, it's still a little weird to hear your voice. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, tonight. So last week we talked about becoming a senior in the fire service, what it means to actually be a senior member. Tonight, it's almost we use a random selector. I can't believe it actually worked out that nicely.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good.
So we are doing new cadet orientation, successes, failures, things that go well, things that don't, and how things have changed. So what do you remember
Let me
about?
start this one
Oh,
off.
okay, I want to hear it.
Just because I've been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started and got hired, I was just as hired as a volunteer firefighter. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have my EMT yet. So, my orientation was very minimal.
Yeah.
Then once I got my EMT, then, things got a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just, here's the ambulance. Here's in this shelf, here's in the back compartment.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing for all the trucks too. It's like, this is how you run the pump. This is everything in the cabinets. Kind of, here you go. We did driving tests. We did some pump tests, and that was that.
Mm-hmm.
There was like what we have today now. There was no in-depth like orientation stuff at all.
It's
Like,
like
I wish I had that when I started.
hey, welcome to fire service. Hey, this is a fire truck. You've known what it is since you've been 4 years old, but
Mm-hmm.
here it is again, and good luck.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like I remember doing a test. Like they would do like some kind of catastrophic failure, and you got to figure it out.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah,
like
I remember when I first started. So we had a checkoff sheet, and to say a
yeah.
checkoff sheet is it's in the loosest way because it was clearly something that had been copy and pasted
Mm-hmm.
across all trucks. So our rescue truck that we had a set of gas powered hydraulic genesis tools. The engine doesn't carry that, but guess what? I had to get checked off on the engine because somebody put on the check sheet.
Yep.
It's not there. There was very little oversight. It
Yeah.
was the go figure it out,
Yeah.
and if you can't figure it out, then maybe you're just not fit to be here.
Yeah,
So,
'cause I remember getting a disposable camera,
mhm.
taking pictures of all the cabinets in the truck, and on the back when I got them developed, I would write which cabinet they were in, like driver's side, first compartment, second, third.
Disposable camera. What were you born in like the 1800s or something?
Close to it. I didn't have a smartphone back then.
No.
I had a little flip phone. Yeah, I had a camera, but
No, but that's actually how you were expected at once upon a time to do
Hmm.
it is go take a pad of paper out
Yes.
and write down everything in the cabinets, or do what you did, take pictures, or just
Yeah.
go out there, open and close the cabinet
Yeah.
doors
I did that a
in
lot
a
too.
nauseum. I re- I remember the one thing I always hated was the we'll call it hide and seek for lack of a better term, or lost and found, whatever however you want to put it. Basically, what would happen is that you were supposed to have gone through those trucks, and then somebody would take a tool and either take it off the truck and tell you, okay, go figure out which tool is missing, or they
Hmm.
would give you a tool and tell you where to put it back.
Yeah.
But the problem is that it was never like, hey, here's a halogen bar. You only have two halogen bars on the truck. Go figure out which one it is. No, they would find something really obscure, like, hey, here's a 3/8 inch socket. Go figure out which truck it came off of.
Be out there
And
forever.
yeah, and our rescue truck carries two toolkits.
Yeah.
So, and it's like you don't know where it comes from. They just said go figure it out. And
And it's not like they were organized; they were just thrown in there too.
yeah, yeah. So clearly we've had some bad experiences
Yeah.
with new cadet orientation, new trainee orientation, however you want to put it. Have you ever had any good experiences, or have you?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Like I've had when I first started, after I got my EMT and I had to go through a checklist so I could work the station.
Hmm.
And then that's when they were taking me out more. Like I was
Yeah.
also coming in my days off,
Hmm.
to learn the trucks
Yeah.
too. So that I had to do that initiative. No one's like, hey, you need to do this. You have so many hours or whatever, so days, weeks to get this
Yeah.
done. I just went in and did it,
And
and
for our
then
listeners there, that's without pay necessarily.
yes.
Like that's you come in your own time, your own dime,
Hmm.
and if you get a call, great. But otherwise, this is considered your service to the township, your
Yeah,
service to
because
the
like if
village.
I wasn't coming in to do quote unquote ride time
Hmm.
to be cleared, I wasn't getting paid unless we got a call.
Yeah.
Like today, if you're
Hmm.
on orientation, you're getting paid.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
and like when I was doing my testing, so I could be checked off on it all, there would be times like they wouldn't tell you, hey, we removed something from the truck.
Hmm.
You're expected to find that or
Yeah.
find there an issue with a piece of equipment or air pack or
Yeah.
something. And if you didn't find it, it was a critical fail.
Well, and it was never, and here lies the problem. And I mean, we're gonna really dive into this. It was never like there's never a necessary set standard for how it was done from person to person, officer to
Hmm.
officer. And also too, the things that sometimes will get moved or get removed were things that could have some arbitrary play
Yes.
anyways. So for example, so let's just say that your truck normally keeps two section of hose line, but you got the person who's checking you off and says, oh no, it should have three sections of 2.5, and they're failing you because you're not accounting for that extra section. You keep on arguing, no, 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 this is what's supposed to be there. And because it wasn't what they wanted or they expected.
Yeah.
And then it's like you're playing the mind game of like, well, what do they want, or what
Hmm.
does this person want?
Yeah. But there was no uniformity to it at
Mhm.
all. It was each, like I said, each person was different. Like, why is it like this? It needs to be uniform.
Yeah. And some of that goes deeper down a rabbit hole. We're not
And
going to
I'm
get
sure
into,
that's how
but
they were
yeah.
trained as well.
Oh yeah,
It's a domino effect.
that's I mean, honestly, I think you hit on one of the biggest failures there is that we kind of talked about it last week, but I experienced this. Now it's my turn to initiate, induct,
Hmm.
however you want to put it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna make sure they get the same experience. The experience sucked for me, and I didn't learn a damn thing from it. But I'm
Hmm.
gonna make sure I continue it because I want you to suffer as much as I suffered.
Yep. And there was a couple people that I had that were like that, but then there was a certain officer at the time
Mm-hmm.
and a couple other guys that are like, no, let's do it like this.
Yeah.
They did it properly. Is that way
Yes.
everybody's on the same page. And then like that's how it should have been from the start too.
Yes.
Not, oh, this person does it this way, this person does it that way. Oh, they were wrong. No, they were wrong. You know,
Well,
it's
I mean, we really, I mean, that's really getting into something too. It's just like you have to break that cycle at some
yes.
point. You can't continue to go. Because here's the thing: is that I remember whenever I started, and it was as I said, we had a check sheet that we had to go off of,
Mhm.
and it was just literally copy and paste from truck to truck. So some things that were on one truck were on the other, and vice versa. The the biggest issue of it is that if you learned that truck really well, you were supposed to fail it anyways. Like you couldn't get that person who's like, man, I really studied this and got it right the first time around. You were actually supposed to fail it. So at some point it becomes petty with like what we're asking you to find. So we've
Mhm.
gone from asking you to find, hey, go find the extra nozzles or go find the extra section
Yeah.
two and a half to where is the section the sections of 2x4s that we used for trench rescue back in 1966 that we still have on there, but no one ever pulls them off, and we don't even know if they're all still
Or
there.
like when we had the rescue truck,
Mm,
when we had this CBRE kits up
yeah.
on top.
Oh yeah. Oh, and the caskets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like those were never ever used.
No, no, they
And
were.
they're in a back room now. Half
Mm,
of them are broken.
yeah.
Like, why do we still have
They're
them?
holdover from 9/11 that
Yeah.
we never really got. And no one, even the people who would tell you, "Hey, go find them for," if you have ever asked them, "Hey, can you show me how to use it?" They wouldn't have known
Oh,
what to do with them
absolutely.
either.
Like, we don't know.
But damn it, you better have figured out where they
Yeah.
are.
Like, I remember I've opened them before, but, can't open the package for the canisters,
No, it's
because then they're
backwards.
screwed.
Yeah.
You can't reuse them. They're done.
Well, which is
Yeah.
funny because honestly, by the time it start, they had already been there. I remember one of the guys who was helping me learn a truck. They had been there before he had started, and he had started in like 2010, 2011
Yeah, they were there when
as
I
as an
first started.
explorer. It's like, and so by the time I'm starting there in 2014, 2015, it's like they're already 5 years
Mhm.
from delivery, let alone manufacture date. It's like, man,
Yeah.
it's like we're not even gonna be able to use these if we need them.
Nope.
So,
I
I
mean,
mean,
like I said, when I started in 2010,
mm,
they were already there.
yeah,
You know, it's one of those things you just put it in there and you forget about it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There's been a lot of changes, and I know for us there, we have definitely made changes. I mean,
Oh, yes.
my, the other apartment I work for, we have a pretty well structured system, but at the same time too, it doesn't matter unless it's something that like you do like a Cleveland or New York or Chicago like um cadet orientation like academy.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a lot of things that either are like thrown in hearsay or thrown in lackluster or
Yeah.
like, oh hey, we'll fix it in post. Like I'm gonna tell you about this, but we don't have time to deal with it today, so we'll just worry about it later, and
Yeah.
then later never really comes.
No, it doesn't. And you made a good point, like the Chicago, New York, the big departments that have their own academies.
Hmm.
Even departments here in Ohio have their own academies. They teach you how they want it done. So
Yes,
when you get there, it's already built into your head that this is how this is done.
yes,
And they don't have to, okay, we did this, this, this. But I mean, they should still go, hey, around here, this is how we do this. I know they taught you this in the academy, but here, this is how things are
yeah.
done.
So well, it's kind of so off that. So from more rural departments and smaller departments and whatnot, like what are some of the things that like I guess what are some of the things that you like to see whenever you're talking about new cadet orientation? Like just big, broad ballpark.
It whether they have 6 months experience, 2 years experience,
Okay.
or 0
Mm,
experience, what do you need help with?
mm,
What do you wanna learn? What don't you know? Ask questions. Please, please, please ask questions.
mhm.
There's no such thing as a dumb question.
Yeah.
Some people say, "Oh, yeah, there is a dumb question." I don't care how dumb it is. To me, it's not a dumb question when it comes to this, you
Not a
know?
dumb question when you got fired ripping out a second
Yeah.
story window and you don't know how to do it. That's no longer a dumb question. That's a
Mhm.
very important
Oh,
question
I
then.
100% agree, you know? Like, we you know as well as me, we've gotten quite a few new people over the last
Mm,
year,
yeah.
you know? Like, just ask me some questions.
Hmm.
If I don't have the answer, I will find out. I'm not gonna have the answers to everything,
Yeah.
but I wanna help you succeed.
Hmm.
I don't want you to have the same experience that I did when I first started.
Yes.
I wanna give you the best possible heads up,
Mm,
or you get what I'm saying,
yeah.
as
No.
much as I can.
Well, and I would go off that regardless of what experience you have. And some people will agree with this, some people will not agree with this. if people actually start listening to us more consistently now, I'm sure that somebody will comment at some
Mhm.
point about this one, but it's like, I don't really care whether you got zero, this is day one outside the academy, or if you've been doing this for 15 years, whatever department, whatever their orientation process is, don't fight it.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
don't,
Don't be the know-it-all.
yeah. And it's not that you can't bring your experience there, but they're trying to teach you
Mhm.
not necessarily to belittle you, but to make sure that you know what they're doing because they got work with you.
Yeah,
They gotta.
absolutely, and we brought that up last week as well
Mhm.
too, people that like, "Oh, yeah, been doing this for a year. I know how to run the truck already."
Yeah,
Okay, you might know how to run a truck, but we might do it differently
yeah.
here.
Well, and in some departments, especially if you come from really rural departments that haven't made the jump yet to like a digital pump system yet, or who do a lot of drafting, so you don't run in like a pressure mode, you run in an RPM mode.
Yeah.
That's a real different way of
Yeah.
running, and you have to learn that.
So when I was living down in Southern Ohio,
Mhm,
one of the departments we went on a mutual aid structure fire with,
mhm.
we took a tanker down. We didn't carry air bottles on that.
Yeah,
But we're a tanker. We're not gonna go inside. We get there, they said, "Hey, when you guys need to pack up?" I grabbed a pack. I, what is this?
yeah,
It's from like the early 90s,
mhm,
late 90s. I'm like, I don't know how to use this.
yeah,
If that's how old they are. They're extremely rural
mm,
too. They're maybe like 250 calls a year,
yeah.
if that. And they're still the old tornado siren departments.
Mhm. Well,
You
and
know,
as that kind of stuff too is like, this would have been important for somebody to tell me about.
mhm,
This isn't a pack that we use for training or that we use for our live fire
yeah,
instructors. This is a frontline pack that if we have to go interior,
yeah,
this is something I might want to know about.
yeah. Like
Share it. Like actually teach that.
exactly. Like in the department I was working with for at the time, we were using MSAs.
Hmm.
This department, I don't know what the heck they were.
Hmm.
Steel. I know they were steel bottles. That's
Hmm.
how old they are. Steel flat bottoms.
Yeah.
I'm
Wish you
like,
didn't have the elephant trunk.
did.
Oh, did really?
So yeah, it was. I think I don't know if it was an old, really old Scott, but
Mm.
when you put in, you got to push the two prongs down to
Uh,
get it going, or I don't remember exactly, but I know you got to push something down. Asking somebody from that department, how do you use this? I don't know. I'm just a driver. How
see,
do you not know you work for this?
man.
You
Oh
might
boy.
just be a driver, but
That's a
you should know how this
That's a
operates.
deep level of new cadet orientation because I was thinking about this too because I know you were talking about when we discussed doing this topic last night and a little bit today this morning, like where to go. Like one of the biggest things I hate about new cadet orientation, new trainee orientation, is that we often relegate new guys to one or two positions. Either A, you're the driver of everything, or you're the gopher.
Yeah,
And by gopher, I mean go for this, go for
yeah,
that, go for
absolutely.
this tool, go for that hose line. You don't do anything, and we relegate them to a position, and then that's just kind of where they sit.
Hmm.
They don't try to expand their knowledge. They don't try to grow anymore because that's all they're asked to do.
Yeah, like for me, I'm like, okay, you're gonna do the truck check today. I'm
Mm,
gonna be right here next to you. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns,
mhm,
I'm just let me know. And like even on med runs, I'm gonna either make you do patient care. I'll
mhm,
help you along the way, or if you have questions, or you're gonna write the report as well.
yeah,
But I'm not gonna just here and sit there and ignore you.
yeah. No, and I mean there was a time and place, and I say this very carefully, but there's a time and place to say, hey, I'm gonna have you step back. I'm gonna do this
Yeah,
because this is either way above your skill level or this is way above what should be expected of a day one person. And there's time.
absolutely.
I don't want you to like run away and hide,
Yeah,
but I'm gonna do it because hey, we don't have time to waste on this one.
exactly.
But at the
Yep.
exact same time too, you should still be saying, hey, I'm gonna do this. Watch how I do it. We can talk about it after we're
Yep.
done. And I make a point if I'm with someone new, it's like I'll go if I do something like that. I'm like, hey, so I just want to let you know this is why I kind of took over there. It's not
Yeah.
that I don't think you can do it or I don't want you to learn, but in this one moment, we needed to do it now,
Right.
not the teaching moment. So hey, let's
Absolutely.
talk about it now. Let's talk about what just happened
Yeah.
there, and actually, we can actually grow from that and learn
Yeah.
from that.
Because some people can perceive that as a negative way. Like,
Hmm.
hey, they're being a jackwagon to you.
Yeah,
No, we need to get moving. We need to get going.
yeah,
Like this could be a very critical patient. I like so that's why I stepped in and did it the way I did it.
Yes. Well, and sometimes you just gotta pick up the pace
Yeah.
too. It's like, I've got no problem with a new EMT who wants to get in and get their first assessment
Mhm.
going. That's fine. But if you're taking way too long to do some
Yeah.
basic stuff, it's like, hey, yeah, we got a possible stroke or STEMI, or we got it's like, hey, we gotta pick it up just a
Yeah.
little bit. I'm gonna take point on this. I'm gonna have you help me. You're gonna get your hands dirty. You're gonna get your feet wet,
Yep.
but I'm gonna take over because we need to keep the ball
Yeah.
rolling.
We gotta keep the momentum. We
Yeah.
can't
So, so what do you think is what do you think is the hardest thing when it comes to training new cadets?
pressure. I think at times they feel a lot of pressure
Mm,
because some places that you have a certain amount of hours or certain amount of weeks to
mm,
get everything done and checked off. Some, yeah, you got a year of probation, but you have so many days or weeks or hours to get that done.
mhm.
If if you got a family, you got another job, it plays a big factor. Then now you feel the pressure. I got to get this done.
Well, in addition to that too, is the pressure of how much gets done.
Yes.
So depending on the department, some departments are well-oiled machine where we have the checklist from start to finish, from day one
Hmm.
to day 60 or 30 or however long of what you're gonna do. And it's very systematic. Other times it's hey, we're doing stuff. Oh, hey, I forgot to tell you, do that. And now they're like, oh crap, I didn't know I had to do that. Now I gotta learn how to do that. I'm
Yep.
still trying to figure out this.
Yeah.
And then you're like, they ask you, well, what else do I need to know? Oh, I don't know off the top of my head, but we'll get, and then you're in the middle of something. You're in the middle of doing CPR or something like that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, oh, hey, I forgot to tell you, this is the code to the drug box. I need you to do this. And I need you to do this
Yep.
like procedure that they're like, look at you like, could you not have told me this 25 minutes ago before
Yeah.
we came here?
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, no, I agree with you. Pressure,
A
huge.
and the same thing, even in private EMS,
Mhm.
we've both worked it, I still do.
Yeah.
When we get new people, they get very minimal field
Yes.
time before
Yes.
they're out by themselves, and it's
Ye
honestly, it's kinda scary, especially new basics and
mm,
brand new medics.
yes.
They give you 3 days,
Mhm.
pretty much, that's it.
Yeah,
If you're brand new, and it's sink or swim there, and their 3 days is not enough.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, so I was actually thinking this today on my way to training tonight. Like, what does it take to be a professional? So it's 10,000 hours. So if you work full time somewhere, you're supposed to average something like 21 to 2,300 hours a year.
Mhm.
So even by that, it's 5 plus years. And that's not including your vacation days
Yeah.
either, because if you take vacation days and whatnot. So let's just be conservative and say 7 years, 8 years to do that. But then what you're saying is that after 3 days, go flying, little birdie.
Yeah,
You can
pretty
do it.
much. And again, what I brought up last week, it was sink or swim,
Yeah.
and that's how it is. Like if they say, well, if they don't get it in that amount of time, then they're kind of a lost cause. That's not the attitude I have,
No.
especially when you're like private I work for. We do a lot of critical
Mhm.
care, and they expect us. We have a very aggressive protocol,
Yeah.
and now you're dealing with somebody's life too, and like brand new medics, 3 days with an FTO, that's not enough.
No. Well, and when you think about it too, I mean, there's things. I mean, in our training tonight, like we're talking about a piece of software
Yeah.
for just kind of like background for anyone listening. It's like we're making a transition to a new piece of reporting software. I've used that for a couple of years now
Hmm.
at my full time department. I'm pretty intimately familiar with it, but we brought up a tab that I looked at like I have never once used that in my entire time being in my full time department. I've never once touched that. I'm gonna start using it.
Yeah.
But 2.5, 3 years of using this program, I never once used it. Never realized until tonight how useful it is, how easy
Yeah,
it
that
is to
was
use that tab.
nice.
And that's 3 years later. So
Mhm.
if it takes me 3 years to really start getting some other things
Yeah.
and really getting like, okay, I'm really, really comfortable with stuff. How do we expect somebody in 3 days to like
Yeah.
be on it?
And like the reporting system we use,
Mhm.
it's just user friendly too, but brand new people has never done this before. They're like, that's gonna take them longer.
Mhm.
And over my years experience, when we get some new people, they're like, oh, all they're doing is having me drive.
Yeah.
Okay, well that helps, but it doesn't help. And this is their last day of field training
It
too.
helps them know where they're going, which is important,
Yeah,
but
but you need
not
to
the
know how
job.
to use the PCRs. Like that's
Yeah.
your biggest thing right there.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, no. It really it kind of brings in this like new cadets, new trainees, new employees. They are a wonderful way to start new things.
Mhm.
They're a wonderful way to, hey, we want to make the departmental changes or we want to make changes. Hey, this is a great place to do it. But I don't know why, but we don't ever seem to like want to plan that out.
No.
It's like we just want to kind of say, hey, we'll figure it out and whatever we'll figure out, like, and on the job training, you got to learn this by doing it on the job and whatnot, which there's part of that, but
Yeah.
it's like we just don't seem to want to actually think about what we want to teach. We just kind of pick it up as we go.
Yep. Yep. You know, I've picked up things as I've gone too,
Hmm.
because I'm like, "Oh, that would've been nice to know years ago," you know?
Hmm.
But it happens too.
Yeah.
In some places, they get complacent, or they just this is their comfy spot
Yeah.
right there, and they don't wanna move from that,
Hmm.
and that's an issue at times too, you know, because it's that whole saying, "If it's not broke, don't fix it."
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to fix things that aren't broke to succeed and do better.
Well, and I think too sometimes we see the shortcomings in our organizations real quick with new hires
Mhm.
because they make mistakes that either A, we don't think about, or B, that like we know about, but it's glaringly obvious whenever somebody new does it, especially somebody who doesn't know how to roll the punches.
Yep.
You know, you can kind of move through. Like if somebody gives you a I'm trying to think of a really good example. Okay, so you're going to place an advanced airway. You have a choice between Kings and LMAs. They
Mhm.
both do basically the same
Yeah.
thing. They work differently. I know, but they both do basically the same
Mhm.
thing. And they grab you a King instead of the LMA. And we don't think about that kind of mistake because we want the LMA for a specific
Right.
reason, for ease of placement and whatnot. But we don't think about that until like then you say, no, 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 I need the LMA, and then all of a sudden you see them freeze, and then you hear shunk, shunk,
Yep.
shunk, 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 shunk as they're searching for
I've
what it
been there.
is. Yeah, I have too. And now all of a sudden it's like we realize we have this glaring issue, and then you start thinking about it, you realize, oh, this is not just him who has this glaring issue. This is many other people, but they're not able to recover from it
Right.
because they have a week on the job. Whereas Freddie over there, they've been doing this for 18 years.
Mhm.
They make a mistake like that. Oh, quick. And they can shift gears
Yeah.
easily.
Absolutely. And then that new person's like, they feel pressured,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel like they're messing
Mm-hmm.
up and screwing up, and they don't know what to do,
Yeah.
and they panic.
Well, and then quick aside too is that, and this is kind of the point I was getting to, but we then completely fundamentally restructure everything we do based on that one
Yep.
mistake
Yeah.
that anybody could have made, but because there was a new person who made it, now all of a sudden we shift entire gears from what we were doing. We assume it just didn't work, and we go off in a completely different direction
Yep.
because that one moment made us look like jackasses.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And I've seen that happen over the
mhm,
years so many times,
mhm,
and it's like, okay, that it was one person.
yeah,
Why do we have to do it this direction now? It was one person.
yes, yes,
You know, and that saying, all it takes one person to ruin everything. And
hmm,
not necessarily, it's not ruining things, but it's that one person, like, okay, they freaked out. Now we got to do it this way
yeah.
now.
Well, and then it's like, well, what's funny is that we don't even like change how we do it. We just change what we do. So
Hmm.
all of a sudden now we got to put a policy in place for this, or now
Yep.
we got to do a special training for this, or now we got to make sure. Oh, hey, let's make sure that we're teaching all the new guys this specific thing,
Yep.
and we just hone in on that thing, and then we don't change any way of doing anything else.
Correct.
And there's other small things that could be lumped in, like, hey, let's talk about how can we prevent some of these issues in the future. But no, we hyper focus on that one
Yes.
issue,
Oh,
and then we miss
100%.
like 8 other problems.
Yep. It's like you're a horse with blinders. You
Hmm.
see what the problem is in front of you. You don't see the broad picture.
Yep. So what do you think is the best way to actually like to orient new hires? What we
Starting with the basics.
starting with the basics, okay?
Basics. You know, it can be as simple as clocking in, clocking out. If you got a key fob door codes, it's the start KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Okay.
That that to me, that's best thing.
Mm.
And then just start with your simple stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like your first day, hey, this is where you clock in at, or you do it on your phone. You do it on your phone. That should stuff would be set up prior to your first day.
Yes.
And if not, it is what it is. We'll
Mm-hmm.
we'll get you there. It's not a big deal.
So.
And like some places, they just first day throw you in the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
No life preserver.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I've seen
it's
that
like, here's this
plenty of
packet,
times.
and that packet can be 20 pages, or it could be a 3-inch 3-ring binder.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh, and I have seen that plenty of times whenever somebody comes in and they don't know what to do.
Mhm.
They're already a little bashful, already a little shy because they don't know anyone.
Yeah,
They're 19 years old, 20 years old. You got all these guys who you assume they have seen Rome burning every single shift for the last 15 years.
Mhm.
They haven't. Little hints, but you assume that,
yeah,
and then you're afraid to ask questions, and then you don't really know what to do with yourself because,
Mhm.
well, do I go check a truck, or if somebody gonna get upset with me?
right.
Can I eat? Can I sit down?
Mhm.
Like, what about overnight? I remember my first few nights working in the fire department and working private ambulance too. I was afraid to go to sleep because everyone else went to sleep, but it's like I'm the new guy. I can't fall asleep. What's everyone gonna think? I can't hang. I can't just be ready to go as soon as I got beat all these guys out
Right.
to the truck, regardless. It's like, yeah, no, I mean it just becomes like you don't know what to do with yourself. And you
Yeah, I
gotta
felt like that before
you
too.
gotta start with those basics. I would take all that myself and and some people will hate this. I would make a recurring list of things like, okay, so step one is kind of like how we did in the military, how we did in the army, is that hey, you're gonna fill out all your paperwork that we need
Mhm.
for your post employment. So, we've hired you and whatnot. So, hey, I need your contact cards, I need all of your state cards, I need all of your stuff. That's step one. Step two, we're gonna show you how to clock in.
Yep.
Step three, we're gonna show you how to log onto the computers when you're here. And step four, we're gonna take you on trucks and just every single step builds a little bit more deeper, but it's a list so that you're not forgetting anything.
Yeah.
So you're not reaching like 8 o'clock in the morning. You've been there since 6. Like, oh crap, I forgot to tell you that we have to clock in this way, or oh
Yep.
crap, I forgot to tell you that when you get on, you gotta log on and you gotta look at our end of shift report.
Yep.
Like it's a list thing so that everyone knows exactly how it's supposed to be done every time.
Yeah, you got to build that foundation and
Mhm.
then work your way up to it
Yes.
too. Like first day or even a couple days, depending on the department
Mhm.
or ambulance company to ambulance company.
Yeah.
Give put a good foundation down,
Yeah.
and then start building up from there. Like,
Mhm.
okay, say this is what we're gonna be doing the next first couple times that you're here, a couple days that are
Yeah.
here. And there's some people who are gonna be like, I don't know why they did it that way. That's stupid.
Yeah.
There's no wrong way, but you gotta build a foundation for them. Build their confidence up too. Yeah,
Mhm.
orientation sucks anywhere you go
It
to.
really does.
It's terrible. But again, you gotta build that foundation for them, get them going, start with something simple.
Mhm.
I mean, if you get a call or 10 minutes into shift, it happens.
Yeah.
You know?
You put pause, you address the call, and then you come back and you
Mhm.
pick back up where it is.
Yep.
Yeah. On that too, I mean, we've kind of touched on multiple times here, but you really don't know when you're new. You don't know like what you don't know.
Yeah.
So like I hate whenever on that, like we have to build a foundation and we expect the new guy to build their own foundation.
Mhm.
Now, let me preface this as saying that yes, they should practice. If you give them a task and they're not very strong with it or they're not okay, yeah, they should go and practice it and get better at themselves. However, that being said, if you have like our department does, we've got 2 fire trucks, 2 tankers, 2 ambulances, a grass fire truck, and we got a couple extra vehicles in the fleet, and each of them has a different quality to them. If I just tell you, hey, go out and start flipping cabinets, tossing cabinets, looking at stuff and doing whatnot, I mean, first of all, you're gonna get out there about 5 minutes into it. You're gonna get really bored really quick because
Oh,
you don't
absolutely.
know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But then, second of all, too, it's like they don't know where to start, especially when you're like young, 18,
Hmm.
19 years old. You're just like big truck. Oh
Yeah.
my. Okay. I guess I'll start with this one. And then somebody comes out, it's like, oh, what are you doing in that truck? That's no. I need you over in this truck doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then somebody else comes out. Oh, no. I need you on the ambulance because that's the thing we're gonna be on. Look, there's no guidance, and they're just going back and forth, back
Yep.
and forth. It's like, no, like senior guys out there, guys have been there. I'm gonna say it like this: get off your ass, go
Hmm.
out there, and help them. Stop telling these new cadets, stop telling these new trainees, oh well, in my day, I was expected to do it. It's like, yeah, and how long did it take you to figure it out? And how much trust did you have in those old guys? They were actually gonna teach you.
Right. Yep.
Get off your ass, go help them, go teach them, go ask them, do you have any questions? Stop just tossing them in and telling them build your own foundation because they don't know what they're looking for.
No, they don't. And that when I first started, that's kind of how it was for me.
Mhm.
Like when we had our rescue truck, you know how big that thing was. It was massive, like
Yeah.
a walk-up
And
rescue.
there was stuff on there that had not been touched in. It had cobwebs. This is how long it hadn't
Yeah,
been touched.
absolutely. I'm like, when they would say, "Go find this," I'd be there were so many compartments in that truck. I'm like, where do I start? It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
You got to be out there with them,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, they should know what tools are. They
Mhm.
just either they've been just got done with the fire academy, or they've had a year or two experience too. You know, it's like you should know what the tools is,
Yeah.
what tool I'm asking for looks like, but go out there and help
Yeah.
them. Be there.
Well, but on that too, when do you remember them ever talking about chimney bombs in the fire academy?
Never.
Like that's a niche thing.
Hmm.
You know, if somebody gave you chimney chains, would you know what to do with those? If someone said give you his bag and had a bunch of chains in, a little spidery looking thing, no, that's the department niche thing.
Yeah.
And as a new trainee, as a new hire, you're gonna go out and look at that. You're just gonna see for chimney bombs this little plastic bag of
Sandwich baggie.
a sandwich bag of like powder in it. You don't know that it's actually the same stuff that's in your fire
Yeah.
extinguishers. You don't know what's actually there. You're just like, oh, that's weird. Okay, cool. And that's the last you think about it.
Yeah. Because I remember when I
Mhm.
started and learned stuff, I'm like, why is there a Folgers coffee can in
Yeah,
an engine?
that I actually had the exact same
And they're
question
like, oh,
because it's
those are
like,
chimney bombs. What are
what
chimney bombs?
what's like bomb? Why do we have bombs?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, they're like, well, open it up and look at it.
yeah,
I'm like, a sandwich bag full of powder. I'm like, okay, what is
yeah,
this? And then it had to be explained to me.
yeah. Well, and in that too, you keep on having to probe, like, oh, look it up and look it, like as if you're gonna know what it is. You didn't know what a chimney bomb was in the first place.
Hmm.
You're not even know, even if you say, oh, there's a chimney bomb. Cool. Sure,
Yeah.
it's like, what does it do? How you use it?
Yeah.
You don't know any of it, but they're like probing prompting you as if you're gonna like, oh, that's what it's for. No, you gotta say, hey, so that's a chimney bomb. So go ahead and open it up. So this is what we're gonna use them for.
Yep.
So you notice it's set up like this. This is how they're supposed to be used and how it's supposed to be deployed. This is what's in them. Now, when you do this, you do X, Y, and Z. And then when you're at, okay, do you have any questions on what I
Hmm.
just told you?
I still remember the first time when I was still young,
Mhm.
we had to go use it. We had a newer guy too. He just dropped a whole sandwich bag down the chimney. And they're like, that did nothing to help it. And
No,
they're like, well, nobody told me. I'm
no,
like, Right there's a
yeah,
failure.
yeah. No one
Who
told you
was
how to
helping you
use
do
them,
this?
if to use
They
them,
didn't know they
when.
had to open them.
Yeah,
Well, gotta open them, but they didn't know that.
no. Well, and even so like if you have a chimney fire and the fire's not hot enough, it's so you can drop them
Hmm.
just as bags too. But if the fire's not hot enough, it's not gonna melt that
Yeah, it's
powder.
not gonna melt
And
it.
all it's gotta do is just go bloop,
Yep.
straight to the bottom. If you get a smoldering chimney fire, that's not gonna help you at all.
Mm-mm.
It's like, I mean, but regardless, it's like you weren't taught how to best utilize those tools.
Right.
And now you're using it wrong. You got someone at the bottom of your ladder, you're 30 feet in the air, and they're
Yep.
losing
Yep.
their minds. And it's like, no one taught me. Well, how do you not know? How could you not?
Yes.
How are you working station duty? How are you running calls if
Oh,
you
I
don't
can't tell
know?
you how many times
Oh
I heard
my,
that when I first got
yeah.
able to work station duty.
And
How are you working if you don't know this, and that?
I didn't know I had to know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that no one told me. No one gave me that instruction.
Mhm.
And I could only ask so much. Like if they put myself back in the shoes of 24, 22-year-old self, first time at the fire station, I know enough to ask, how do you get water out of it? Where are the hoses?
Mhm.
And where are the basic tools? And by basic tools, I mean your irons, your sledgehammers, and if it has it, your rescue tools,
Yep.
your Hurst or your Genesis tools. But I don't know to ask about jet siphon. I didn't even understand how jet siphon worked, let alone to ask where it's at.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to ask, like, so hey, where's the low level strainer?
Mhm.
I didn't know how to ask, well, what's the difference between using this hard suction on this truck and that hard section on that
Yeah.
hard suction on that truck because, well, one's threaded, the other one's a cam lock.
Yeah.
I don't know that. You have to teach me because
Yeah.
that you don't learn that at the fire academy,
No,
and you
you don't.
don't. And even if you do, it's just so like, oh yeah, hey, we're a bunch of city guys. We really don't care about what rural departments do, so we're gonna gloss over all like ponds and all that as quick as we can to get you through this.
Right.
So now as a new trainee, I have no idea way of this, and I don't even
Mhm.
know how to ask about it.
Right. Like when I first started and I was cleared workstation duty,
Mm.
if we caught a structure fire, if you were in that driver's seat and certain people showed up, you were out of that driver's seat.
Yeah.
That's all they did was drive, drive, and
Yep.
drive. And if you drove the truck and you didn't know how to, you were still very comfortable working that truck,
Mhm.
then you're cleared on this truck. You're not comfortable with it. Why are you working station duty?
Mhm.
That's not the attitude I have. Like, okay, let's work through it.
Yeah.
I will help you. I can't. When my first structure fire, I drove one of our tankers. I'm like,
Mhm.
listen, I know how to do it, but I'm not very proficient, so I need help. And
Mhm.
I got criticized about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not okay. I was
No.
probably 2 years onto the department. I mean, 2.5 maybe.
Yeah.
I'm like, and that's how I'm getting treated. Like, that's not okay.
Well, and by that point in time, it's like, especially after a couple years, like somebody should have said, "Hey, let's go do this."
Mhm.
But again, at that time, and I know some people criticize that. It's like, "Oh, how could you be that long?" And I figured they're gonna do the exact same thing. And I would posit that, if you didn't know on day one, and then no one taught you somewhere between day one and day 601, how are you going to know all of a sudden? Because there's some piece of apparatus, and every department has at least one of them somewhere where it sits in the corner or it sits on the side and it gets pulled out mainly for parades or for some super specialized like thing.
Mhm.
And by super specialized, I mean like once every like 6 years, you pull that equipment out. And if you've only been there for 2 years, you're in the lull of that 6 years. You've
Yep.
never seen it used. And then, and no one ever mentions it because it just doesn't get used.
Yeah.
Like,
It's almost like out of sight, out of mind.
yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, how do you not know how to use it? I didn't even know we still used it.
Yeah.
I had this incident a couple of years ago. We had barn fire, and I was under the impression because our hose washer was always pushed off to the side, it's got stuff stacked on it now, and it's
Yes.
got cobwebs and whatnot. I was under the impression it didn't work. It was
Mhm.
broken. I was told much later after everyone gets back and wonders why are we scrubbing all this 2.5. We had somewhere close to 1,000 feet of 2.5, not including the inch and three-quarter that we used. And we're scrubbing it by hand. And I'm
Mhm.
like, why are we using or somebody asked me, why are we using the hose washer? And my happy ass, because I was like, well, it's broken, it's out of service. No, it's not. Who told you that? Eh, I've never used it before. It's always been on the wall in the bay,
Yep.
just covered in junk.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And yet now here I am 4 years, 5 years, and being told, no, that works fine. I don't know why we're not using it. Like
Mhm.
it's like how am I supposed to know?
Exactly. Before I left, I was there for 5.5 years.
Mhm.
We used that thing one time. I'm
Mhm.
like, we're just scrubbing everything by hands. We have this hose washer.
Yeah.
Why is it not being used?
Yeah.
Oh, because we don't want to drag it out.
Yeah.
That's always the excuse. We don't want to drag it out.
And that is the biggest, lamest thing that I
Oh,
hear
it
a lot of
is.
guys. And I get it, coming from a full-time department to my part-time department, I don't want to necessarily be out, especially days like today where it's cold,
Yes.
or in the middle of August when it's 98 degrees and the humidity is at 90%. I don't want to be out there throwing ladders and doing
Yeah.
all, but you kind of have, but you have to.
Mhm.
But that is never an excuse of saying, well, we just never use it, so why bother
Yeah.
teaching it? You have to step up and say, hey, yeah, no, we don't use it. Actually, that's the big reason why we need to go talk about it today.
Mhm.
Because one day I'm not gonna be here and you're gonna have to use it.
Yeah. Like I said, I think the thing's old.
Mhm.
It was there when I first started. I was in 2010.
Yeah.
I've used it once,
Mhm.
and we still don't utilize it
Yeah.
like we should. I mean, we got a little man-made one.
Mhm.
Yeah, it works, but not like the manufactured one.
No, no. Well, and I mean, on that too, it's that there's a lot of things that, and I guess this is kind of maybe the organic way to transition here. This is where you need one person or two people for every trainee
Mhm.
that you can, or a group of trainees, to say, hey, this person is responsible for teaching you everything from the
Yeah.
basics to the hyper specific. And we're going to pair you with them every single shift,
Yeah.
or we're going to pair you with them for X amount of days and give them a list like, hey, today I need them to learn this and this and this and this and this. Hey, today I need them to go over the squat. I need them to be really comfortable with that when it's all said and done. Hey, today I need them to be able to pull a draft by themselves with the
Yeah.
tanker and not, and then you follow them through and you work with them.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, it's one thing that drives me nuts is whenever we get a new trainee, and so you and I don't work together very often.
Mm.
It's sad.
It is. It
Very,
is very
very
sad.
sad. But, you know, it doesn't do a new cadet very much good. Even you and I are very like-minded. They work with you today, and they come and work with me tomorrow. Well, I might teach you something, or I might teach them something different than the way you taught it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily right or wrong. It doesn't mean you're right or wrong. It's just, hey, this is
Exactly.
my experience of how I did.
Mhm.
Well, they just learned how you did it.
Yeah.
They just learned this way, and now I am completely undoing everything
Yeah.
and teaching them something new, and not intending to call you an idiot, but
Right.
saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, hey, I don't know who taught you this, but they're an idiot. They're stupid. They're."
But see, there's some
And
people out there that are like that. Though.
yes,
They're like, well, that's wrong. Don't
Mhm.
do it that way. Like, like today, we had a new guy with us. He's still learning.
Yeah.
And when he first started, I was like, listen, I'm gonna teach you how I do it. Doesn't mean someone might teach you something different. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just everybody has different ways of doing different things.
yeah,
Like truck checks. Like I'm set in my ways of how
Mhm.
I do the truck checks. You know, uh, it's actually kind of nice because they got the new system set up for the truck checks.
Mhm.
It's already in my mind. Kind of already do it that way.
yeah,
So
no,
it's like nature to me.
yeah,
I told him, it's like, listen, you can do it whatever you want. This is how it works for me, but whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Other people are going to do it completely different,
Mhm.
but you find what works for you.
yeah. Well, but off that, it's like you're gonna teach them how you do it, but then it's like, hey, this is one way.
Yeah.
This, and which that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But you're gonna teach them. It's like, okay, this is how to do it. There are other ways to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
You now need to take this and
Take it and run with it.
take and run with it. So yeah, kind of off of that, like one thing I love, and I actually did my Fire Officer One paper on this in a different vein for officers, but it's the same concept. Is actual new cadet orientation like program or set like schedule of things.
Mhm.
So hey, we bulk hire, and I know every department's a little different.
Yeah.
You can't always just like bulk hire
Right.
like 3 or 4 people and then like try to get them all and say, we all got lives. I get that.
Yeah.
But the best you can, set whoever you are on the path to success from day one.
Yes.
Give them a set of expectations like, hey, after, so we're gonna have you just here just to learn. You're not even gonna run calls. You're here just to learn for the first shift or two.
Yeah.
You know?
You're almost like they're shadowing.
Yes. Yes. And then after that, like, okay, now we kind of got you. We after 8 hours or whatever, we know we got you with how administratively the department works. We're going to start diving into like actual operation stuff. we want you getting hands on with the trucks. We want you getting hands on with the squads. We
Yeah.
want you getting hands on with the duty crews, how to do stuff.
Yeah. You know, like, in like some departments,
Hmm.
like they're large enough. They have 14, maybe even 30 stations.
Yeah,
It might just be you and your partner on the squad, and
yeah.
that's it. And then there's a crew for the ladder
Hmm.
and the engine, and then next shift you come on, you're on that engine or that ladder.
Yeah.
We don't have that
No.
luxury. No, you're everything.
Yeah.
You catch a fire, you're getting on that engine.
Hmm.
You know, but mainly you're gonna be on that squad.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and you have to also make sure that you're like tracking like how much they've learned, because
Mhm.
if we get somebody new, I honestly don't care if like I would normally expect you to be able to work kind of, I don't want to say by yourself, but kind of autonomously
Mhm.
on a fire or accident or whatever. I want that new cadet glued to
Oh,
my
yeah,
hip
absolutely.
as close as they can be without stopping me from doing my job, because I don't know. This is day one for you.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, you don't know your left from your right. I want to make sure you don't get yourself hurt. I want to
Yeah.
make sure you don't get yourself in trouble before it even gets off, because at that point, like new cadet, you're responsible for them,
Mhm.
and
Absolutely.
I think we lose that sometimes. It's like the
And we do.
responsibility.
You know, and like you said, you want them as close as possible. Absolutely.
Mhm.
You know, I want to be able to grab you.
Yeah,
I want you within arms reach.
yeah,
That simple.
yeah.
You know, and like, and there's some people that just don't want no part of doing this.
Hmm.
And like, why? Like, you were in their position at one point in time.
Yeah.
You had the same experience I did. Why are you giving that to them?
Well,
Well, it's not my responsibility. Yes and no.
it's not your responsibility if they go in on a structure fire with you, and that's very much your responsibility at that
Oh,
point,
yeah,
because they're your backup.
yeah.
If you didn't teach them and you fall through a floor, or you get in a position where you get
Mhm.
flashover, or where you have to bail out because, and you know, and you're expecting them to help, they're not there.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, the person you have to blame is not that person. It's you
Yeah.
for not teaching them and not raising them up.
Yeah, and I hate that some people have that mentality, like, "Well, I'm not an officer."
Mhm.
Who cares? Who cares
You're a
if you're
member
not
of this
officer?
department.
Absolutely, and you've been here for years. You've
Mhm.
been at your other department for years
Yeah.
too. You have a wealth of experience and knowledge. Teach them.
Yeah.
Don't, "Well, it's not my job, not my responsibility." It is your responsibility.
Yeah. If
And
you
like you said, you're going in and you get in a bad situation. You're relying on them.
Yeah. If you
You
wanna
might
go home, it's
Yeah.
absolutely your
They might be
responsibility.
your only chance to maybe even survive something.
Yeah.
And then say you're not responsible for them again,
Yeah.
because you are.
I know you've had a similar experience to this that I did, and in a different level, literally and figuratively. But I had a bad fire couple years ago around Christmas time, and we went in. We thought we were going for a chimney fire. Well, it turned out to be a basement fire,
Oh,
and
okay.
the floor around where the hearth of the fireplace had caved in before, like somewhere between when we made entry to when we got there, it had just caved in or was caving in. So I put my foot down, kind of like I'm leading with my foot, because that's what we do. Now, mind you, when you're in the academy, you're taught all fours, and you're all. If I'd been on all fours, I would have been head first
Yeah.
into that hole. I led
Yeah.
with my foot, tapping my foot on the floor as I'm pulling the hose line, because we can't find the fire. It is pitch black smoke in the middle of the morning, like early, like 4 a.m. morning. I don't know where I'm going,
Mhm.
and also I just feel the floor get really spongy, and then I kind of back up. I'm like, okay, I had the wherewithal in my head to know this is a bad situation.
Yeah.
My partner, we bailed out probably about a minute later because the basement flashed on
Mhm.
us, with us over top of it. Now, mind you, we're within about probably 2 or 3 feet of this full size hole that we found later. But my partner had no idea why. My partner at the time kind of chastised me with about it later. It's like, oh, you kind of overreacted. Oh, it's like, no, no, the fact that fire coming up from the floorboards in three
Mhm.
places around us, and then all of a sudden, just woof,
Yep.
and it coming up from all the registers and everything. That was not an overreaction. That was a holy hell! I'm getting out of here,
Yeah,
and I'm taking you with
absolutely.
me. I pushed him out of that front door.
Yeah.
I pushed him out. He did not know. He did not understand, and just could not grasp. Even after I told him, even after he saw the hole that that we could have swallowed us, still don't understand. And to that, I don't look at him and say, "You idiot." I just say, who taught you
Mhm.
and who raised you up that you didn't have that? You've been doing this for a couple years and you don't have that situational awareness to say, "Hey,
Yeah.
we're in a bad spot. We need to get out."
Yep.
And that's something that is absolutely your responsibility when you have new trainees
Yeah.
to teach them, because it's
And we don't, for our department, we don't have that luxury where you're assigned a shift
yeah,
and you're with this person or you're with this officer where they are your mentor,
yeah.
and
We
that's that.
we don't even have the luxury to be assigned a spot on the truck,
No.
let alone the truck.
Yeah. It's here's the shifts that you can sign up with, and those people that are working that day, they're responsible for them to
Yeah,
teach them.
yeah,
And again, there's a lot of people that I'm not doing it.
yeah.
And there's also some people that like, I'm not going to spoon feed them. Well,
Mhm.
no, you shouldn't spoon feed them.
No,
You still have to teach them.
no.
Like I go in and if I know there's someone new, you know, what do you have to do on your packet still? How far are you?
Yeah,
What are your questions? What are your concerns, comments? Just talk to me. Let's do this.
but
Let's eat some breakfast,
yeah.
do our stuff, then we'll go out and start doing things.
But though, you kinda do have to spoon feed to a certain extent,
Mhm.
especially at the very beginning,
Yeah.
because I use this example whenever I talk about my CST cadets I did as a drill sergeant in the Army. And what it is that you're taking cadets, whether basic training, CST, it doesn't matter, and you are taking kids who have no idea how military works at all. You have to literally spoon feed every single
Mhm.
step of the way to them. Now I'm doing it while I'm yelling, I'm losing my voice.
Yeah.
But I have to spoon feed everything from how to stand, how to dress, how to make your bed, how to stand in line for chow,
Yeah.
how to eat your chow, how to move expeditiously, how to stand in line while waiting for things.
Mhm.
What hand are we going to hold this in? What hand are we going to hold that in?
Yeah.
You have to spoon feed. If you don't spoon feed at the beginning and then you wean them off into actual tangible foods, where it's like, okay, I've given you basics. Now you need to take what I've
Yeah.
learned and start growing with it. You're going to be spoon feeding them later
Mhm.
in the cycle, later in their career. If you don't teach these firefighters and these young trainees from the ground up, like spoon feed them as you would a baby, now they're going to get to the point where they've been there for 8 months, 10 months, a year, 2 years, 4 years, and you're still going to be spoon feeding them stuff and still giving them soft palate food because they don't have anything to build off
Yeah.
of.
It's like when they're new, they're like a baby. Their brain is a sponge,
Yes.
and they're gonna absorb as much as you want them to absorb as much as you can.
Yes.
And that's important.
Mhm.
You know, like some places, like you have 60 days to get all this done.
Yeah.
That's a lot of information in 60 days,
Yeah.
or even 80 hours too.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Well, and in that sponge too, we know sponges when we clean with them, they absorb not only the good stuff, but they absorb all the bad stuff
Yeah.
too. So if they absorb a bad habit, or if they absorb a bad tactic or a bad something, now you have to wring that out, and you're
Yep.
going to wring stuff out good with it, because they're going
Mhm.
to bring them something
Yeah.
with that to reteach them, and now you have to also help reinforce what was good
Mhm.
in the first place. Because one thing that a cadet is great at is that they make a mistake. So they not only don't do that thing again, they don't do that plus like six other things
Yep.
ever again, because they're afraid of making another mistake.
Yeah. And that was me at one point
Mhm.
too.
You have to reinstill that.
Yeah. You do. And you can't yell at them.
No.
There's some people that they will pull you to the
Mhm.
side and ream you.
Yeah.
No, let's just sit down. Let's talk about what
Mhm.
happened, why it happened, and how we're going to fix that.
Kind of on that point, this is something that's driven me nuts as drill. It drives me nuts when I see it in Hollywood. It drives me nuts when I see civilians who do this. Let's make something really clear, really quick right now. When a drill sergeant is yelling, whether you're a drill sergeant for the Army, you're a DI for the Marine Corps, whatever the Navy calls them, the Air Force, the reason why they're yelling is because we are putting them in an austere environment where pretty much all their alarm bells, your fight or flight is going. Why? Because you're going to go into a high stress environment of combat at some point. I need to know that you can focus amidst all the chaos and go. It doesn't last forever, first of all. And second of all, and this happens on day 1, too, there's a moment where I will, partially because I need a break, but also because, hey, I need to teach you how to do something. So I'm yelling not because I'm angry, I'm yelling to project my voice.
Right.
But I'm giving blocks of instruction. So I will say, so check it out, cadets. You are going to do this in this way. Yes? Yes, drill sergeant. We are going to do this in this way. Yes? Yes, drill sergeant. We will not do this. Yes? Yes, drill sergeant. And then I will go around after teaching them that. It's like, no, hey, cadet, no, hey, you're going to do this. No, cadet, you're going to do this. And in that moment, I'm not looking to doing corrective action. I'm looking to make them look right.
Right.
I will do the corrective action after I've taught them how to look right and how to do right. But I'm not going to embarrass them every single chance I get because that doesn't help.
No, it doesn't.
And the same way is like whenever somebody makes a mistake, your first inclination should not be to yell and scream at them. Your first inclination should be like, hey, let's go. Let's learn how to do this correctly.
Yeah.
And then after that, then you can, I won't say this carefully, but then you can get upset with them if they continue to do it wrong. But that should not be our first go-to.
No, it shouldn't. And some people take constructive criticism the wrong way. Like, just take it.
Yeah.
Take it and learn from it. If they're yelling at you, then that's their problem.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be yelling at you unless you really did something screwed up and it caused a major issue.
Yeah.
But still, just listen. We need to sit down. We got to talk about this and how we're going to fix this. It's how it is.
Here's the thing: is that if you're reaching a point where you feel like you have to yell at them to get something, there's another problem there you need to be addressing, and that might be kind of. And we kind of said, hey, maybe they're not fit for it, and you're like, okay, let's be careful of that. But if you're having the same problem recurring over and over and over again, that's something where okay, now we need to start addressing a different issue. If you're not able to grasp this, and you're not able, and we've been over this 8 times over the past 4 months. Maybe now we need to be having a different conversation. But I promise you, yelling at that person is not going to suddenly change them.
It's not.
They're only become at bare minimum bitter and reclusive. At worst, they're going to start getting angry, getting defensive, getting rebellious.
Yeah,
and you really don't want that.
No, you don't. Like, and I see that at a private ambulance too. Like some of our supervisors will just sit there and just yell at them. Like, you're still being a problem.
Yeah.
Help them.
Yeah.
And in the fire service, these people that are yelling at the newer guys, they've experienced that too, because that's what they went through when they screwed up. They got screamed at and told they were idiots or stupid.
Yep.
They didn't know what they were doing. Don't be that person.
No.
You got to be that change.
Well, and I mean, all you do is whenever you yell at somebody like that, and you're like, because you experience somebody yelling at you for that, all you're doing is you're trying to find someone else who's more stupid than you so you can finally pass it off. You finally found that person. Oh, thank God there's someone out there who's more of an idiot than I am. Great, now you can carry that title. I'm the one, and suddenly that guy who thought you were so stupid doesn't think you're so stupid anymore because now you got someone else who's made mistakes.
Yeah.
And it again, though, as you said, it doesn't help anyone. It doesn't actually fix anything.
Yeah, I've yelled at one person ever. I don't remember I don't know if you were around when he was here, but we were in town doing a training.
Yeah.
And we were doing a live burn, and neighbors were coming like outside to watch us. And this little kid wouldn't get closer. He went over and brought him closer to the burning house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you stupid? He can't be here.
Yeah.
Like, this is very dangerous.
Yeah.
Are you, I was that person.
Yeah.
That was the first and last time that I've ever done that.
Well, and mind you, there are times where it's like, hey, get their attention.
Yeah.
And hey, that especially in life safety and property conservation, that kind, yeah, there's a time to raise your voice,
Mhm.
but not to the point where you like completely belittle them, and not to the point where you publicly shame
Yeah.
them.
And I remember when we were done, I was like, "Listen, I'm sorry I yelled at you.
Hmm.
Like, pretty dangerous situation. Yeah, it's a
Not a
training
wise
fire,
choice.
but anything can happen during training.
Hmm.
It it's yeah,
Yeah,
it's controlled, but anything can happen.
yeah,
Things can get away from us, and then it's bad news.
yep.
And then here we are. You brought this. I think he was probably like 7 or 8 years old,
Mm,
and now something happens. Now his kid's injured. Now
yeah,
we're reliable.
yeah, we're
We're
liable.
liable for him. It's like you
Yeah,
got to think about that. Again, I'm
yeah,
sorry I yelled at you, and he understood. And
mm,
again, that was the first and last time I've ever yelled at someone and said, "Are you freaking stupid?"
yeah. Well, because you realize in the moment, it's like, wow, that actually didn't really help the
Yeah.
situation. Because I bet you that person, and I wasn't there, but I can guess what happened. That person probably shied away from doing just about everything else from that point forward. Like they didn't, like if you public, especially if you publicly shamed
Hmm.
them, they probably to a certain extent didn't step forward as far as they should have when
Hmm.
they were doing things. All of a sudden, they didn't want to go talk to the public now. They didn't, if Bobby Joe comes from up the street, he's like, oh, hey, you guys are doing this. He's probably the last person who wants to talk to Bobby Joe and tell him what they're doing
Yeah.
because I just got yelled at for
Hmm.
doing this. You
Yeah.
know, they're probably the last one, especially if all you win. They're probably the last one, like, hey, you're gonna be with Jeremiah Day. They're like, oh boy,
Exactly. And
I
I
know
don't
where this is.
want that.
No,
And again, I apologize. I
yeah,
did feel bad because I never thought I was going to be that person.
yeah,
But in my mind, and I'm like, why? I
yeah.
didn't think about it.
Mhm.
But yeah, like you said, technically, I kind of publicly shamed him in front of everybody that was out there watching
Yeah,
us, and I felt terrible because I know how it felt when it happened to me.
yeah.
It's embarrassing.
It
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 is
it
very
is.
embarrassing.
Well, and it's hard because you bring up like you got you constructive criticism. Make sure your criticism is actually
Yeah.
constructive. Name calling, foul language. I know we kind of toss foul language around as firefighters. Just
Mhm.
it's currency. I get it, but that very rarely helps the situation,
Right.
and it definitely doesn't help that person who you're trying to teach or you're trying to make better. It doesn't make them want to be better. It just makes them want to be out of that situation faster
Yeah.
than anything else. So like when you do constructive criticism, make sure it is on point to
Mhm.
what's actually a problem. Hey, so we ran this full arrest. I get this is your first full arrest, and yeah, I raised my voice and told you, and at some point maybe told you sit down. It's like, hey, I just need you to sit there, keep your hands in your pockets,
Yeah.
but you need to come back and say, okay, hey, this is what happened. We're gonna practice some of this stuff, and
Yeah.
not in a punitive, demeaning way, but we're gonna practice some of this stuff because I need to make sure that you're able to actually do this.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
know, another example would be we've had how I word this. So whenever you're learning fire department culture, you can become a nuisance really freaking quick.
Yeah.
Whether you eat people's food, you don't realize it's theirs.
Yes.
You leave dishes in the sink, and sometimes some of us still do that.
Yeah.
Whoops, my bad. Um,
Yeah. I leave a coffee cup or just a regular
yeah,
cup once in a
you
while, but
know, or maybe you come in and you're that person who's always walking in front of the TV every 30 seconds at
yeah.
8 o'clock at night, and they're watching the show or a football game or whatever.
Especially when they can have another path to take.
Yes, or you're
It's like,
talking on the phone while they're watching a movie and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, you will make a nuisance of yourself. You have to, sometimes you have to sit down and pull that person aside and say, hey, this is what you're doing. You need to stop. Stay on point to that behavior. Don't bring in all the extra other stuff that annoy you about that
Yeah.
person. But say, hey, just so like when we're watching TV, if you gotta take a phone call, I get it. Take it outside.
Oh,
Take it to a
absolutely.
different room.
Be respectful.
Yeah, don't sit here and just talk
Yeah.
on the phone over top of the movie or whatever everyone
Mhm.
else is trying to enjoy. This is everyone else's house too.
Yeah.
When it gets to a certain point at night, hey, that's not when you should be turning up the heavy metal music, saying I'm gonna go work out and be banging weights the
Yep.
entire time, keeping everyone else awake. No, hey, it's 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. Hey, you can watch a movie. We don't care. Don't keep everyone else awake.
Exactly. Yeah.
But keep it to that. Don't be the like you're keeping everyone awake and you just leave dishes everywhere and you're always late to work and you're and whenever I'm watching you do truck checks, man, you're just not paying attention to truck checks. You're missing stuff constantly. And it's like and you're just laundry listing them with problems. After a while, they're like, you're just looking to yell at me. You don't.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't want to teach me. You're just looking to yell.
Yeah. I mean, if that situation arises, like, all right, this is what's been happening. This is what we've noticed. We're gonna talk about this.
Yeah.
We're gonna fix this.
Yeah.
And we're gonna work through everything.
Yeah.
Instead of, like I said, a laundry list. Okay, here's the situations, here's the problems. We're gonna fix these.
Yes.
Let's start with this, the most important. Showing up on time.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
And then being respectful to others too. But it's like you said, 8, 9 o'clock, or even 10 o'clock. We're not listening to heavy metal music, listening to weights drop and you like that. No, I don't think so.
Yeah. I'm not starting the game. I'm not starting the game of Uno with you at 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
And neither is the duty officer. I promise you. That's the last thing we're doing at that time.
I mean, you and I both know, like, there's times we play Call of Duty together.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get caught up in the games. Next, when did it become 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
But we're also not being super loud either.
No. We'll go into standby room. We'll close the doors.
Yeah.
We'll bring down our voices. We're not in the training room hooping and hollering like we're and if somebody came and told us, hey, dude, I'm trying to sleep here. Hey, gotcha.
Yeah.
Didn't realize we're keeping you awake.
Exactly.
Maybe
my bad. I apologize.
Yeah. Hey, let's put this on pause tonight. We'll come back to it later.
Yep.
So, no, I mean this honestly, we could probably keep going on this.
Okay.
I mean, we got 120 some
124
topics. Some of these are gonna become part twos.
Yeah.
We're at an hour and 11 minutes right now. We can probably make this a part 2.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I think that we could keep talking, but I'm sure that at some point also people don't want to listen for much more than that too. So I think we need to put a pin in this.
Yeah.
But just kind of bring it down to kind of land the plane as quickly as we can here. Yeah, when we have new trainees and new cadets or whatever you want to call them, probies, doesn't matter. It's your responsibility as the senior firefighter, whether you are assigned to them or not, especially if you are assigned to them, but it's your responsibility to help raise them and help them along.
You got to shape them.
Yes. And it's also your responsibility too, to like knowing where the failures were when you were raised up. Hey, don't do that. If being yelled at every 5 seconds and told you're an idiot and what the game of like, hey, go do this. No. Go put that back. Go do this now. No. Go put like if you were that doesn't help anyone. Probably don't make other people do that.
Exactly.
So I mean, yeah. I'm sure you could keep on going for this, but
yeah.
So
oh yeah.
But well, I mean, you got anything else to add real quick to try to land the plane or maybe crash the plane?
They're new. You were remember you were in their spot at one point in time too.
Yes.
You got to look back on how you were treated, and either you're going to treat them the way you treated, or you're going to set the precedence and set the change. Like, this is not how I'm going to do it.
Yes. Now, it's one thing I remember and I've brought up many times is that you're not going to get 10 years of experience in 10 months.
No way.
It's impossible. You barely get 10 years of experience in 10 years. So it's, yeah. No, that's good. So, well, I'm sure this will become a part 2 in the future. I'm not going to promise it's going to be next week, but, because we have a wheel we gotta keep, but I'll add this in and I'll call it the new cadet orientation part 2.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for sticking with it here.
Yes, thank you.
I've been Tim. That has been Jeremiah. If you want to hear more, if you got some of the stories that you've experienced, let's be respectful of each other, but kind of share some of the things. Do us a favor. Don't be naming departments. Don't be naming organizations or anything like that. Definitely don't be naming people. but tell us, hey, yeah, whether you agree with us, whether you disagree with us, and you think we're idiots. I mean,
Yeah.
that's we're used to that part. So, but we'll be back next week. I don't know what topic we'll have, but we'll figure it out one way or the other. And if you want to listen to us, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, and
A little bit on TikTok.
a little bit on TikTok. That's where you'll find our shorts. And you'll find our shorts on YouTube. So if you want to just get an idea, what are we about? Look for Conflict of Leadership Coffee Table Edition, and you'll find us.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening.
Yep. Thank you.